One thing I learned the hard way is that it's really important to know your particles. Like 이가, 는, 은, 에서, 에게, 함께, 와, 하고 그런 건 너무 어려운 거예요. Those are important. With Korean, something really weird happened, and this is the reason why I think listening is the most important thing. And that's how I started, because my mom was like, why don't you learn? And I was like, you got it. So thank you, Mom. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're a subscriber, hi, what's up? My name is Sarah, nice to meet you. If you are new, hi, what's up? How are you? Today I'm here with another kind of video. It's something I wanted to do for a long time because I feel like some of you might have some questions about it and I really wanted to answer them properly, so I'm making this video. Some of you might know that English is not my first language, in fact it's my third language, and that I was born bilingual because I'm from Barcelona, Spain, and pretty much every kid here knows two languages as a child. We speak both Catalan and Spanish. My first language is Catalan, then it's Spanish, but I just can switch easily between the two. And then at a really young age, I started speaking English. That's why English is my third language and I can speak it like this. And then in 2016, so it's been quite a while, I started learning Korean. One of the things about growing as bilingual is that for us, it's really easy to switch between languages, and even with my friends we switch between English, Catalan and Spanish all the time, and we sometimes use different words to express different things because there are expressions and words in every language that you cannot really translate, and so we kind of switch around a lot. And that happened to me with only English, Catalan and Spanish till really recently when I started to get more comfortable with the Korean language. And at some point I found myself being able to say things only in Korean, like expressions or words that I just couldn't really translate. But that only started happening to me really recently, and obviously it shows through my videos that sometimes I easily switch between English, Korean, English, Spanish, etc. And so a lot of you noticed, and I actually said once or twice that I take Korean classes and that I speak Korean. And so I got a few questions here and there through YouTube, through my DMs, asking me about my Korean language learning process. But obviously there are many explanations and many things that I would like to share with you, and through a message it's really hard for me. So I figured that I would ask you through my social media to ask me questions that you had about learning Korean, starting to learn Korean, and I received a few questions here and there. In today's video, I will be answering them. Just as a warning message, learning languages is really different for everyone. The things that could work for me could not work for you. Just take it as an advice and hopefully it can help you out. Okay, so I have all your questions here and I'm gonna answer them now. I haven't thought about this, so hopefully my answers make sense. Okay, so the first question says, what's the hardest thing about learning Korean? For me, it would be that in Korean, there's many different ways to express a single thing. And there are many different speeches, meaning formal, informal, formal, but you use it with someone that you know, formal that you use with your 사장님, there's many different ways of speaking to say the same thing. So it's kind of hard to retain everything. And for example, a word can mean different things through different contexts. For example, the verb 쓰다 means write, but it also means use. So depending on the situation, you need to figure it out. So I feel the hardest thing is basically quickly being able to understand all the ways of speaking Korean, because it's not this is this and this is that. It's there's many different meanings. Okay, someone said, I studied Korean in uni 4 years ago, but I forgot almost everything. Any tips for catching up? I think the only thing you can do is try to surround yourself with as much Korean as possible. I feel I'm gonna have to talk about this way more in different questions, but it's really important that you keep hearing it and you keep listening to the pronunciation, listening to ways of using certain words, listen to a podcast, or maybe watch a Korean YouTuber or something like that. And without you noticing, you're gonna realize by the end of a few months that, oh wait, I kind of understand things better, or I know this word that I didn't know before. I think it's important to do a lot of listening. Okay, the next question says, what would you suggest to start with first? what would you say is the most beneficial to start with? I think it's pretty like convenient to start with Hangul, which is like the writing system. When I was 15, I thought I would be able to like learn Korean with only the romanization. You can't. Like, it's impossible. So the first thing you should do is basically learn Hangul, and then once you know that, just start with the basics like introduction, maybe understand how the sentences work. The subject is always first and then the verb goes at the end, and then you have complements. Also, one thing I learned the hard way is that it's really important to know your particles. Like 이, 가, 는, 은, 에, 에서, 에게, 함께, 와, 하고, 그런 거 너무 어려운 거예요. Those kind of things are really important to like know at first, because you're gonna see them all the time. Like, I am at like 22. This is my 7th year learning Korean, and I still get those things wrong. Oh, I forgot 2 really important particles as well. 을. Those, sister, those are important. Hangul particles and maybe like the basics, like subject, complements, verb. Those are really important. What was your biggest motivation to learn Korean? Obviously it was K-pop, not gonna lie. I started studying EXO when I was 15, like in 2015, and I would see their interviews, like obviously in Korean, and I would read the English subtitles. And my mom saw me, like she was going through that phase with me, and she was like, you are watching all these interviews and you are obsessed with this group that speak Korean, but you are reading the English subtitles. Why don't you start learning Korean? And she signed me up for a summer like course. It was like a 1-month thing, really. And I liked it so much that I asked her to like sign me up for like the whole year. And that's how I started, because my mom was like, why don't you like learn? And I was like, you got it. So thank you, mom. Oh, this is important. Someone says, at the city I'm in, there's no books or anything. I'm only watching YouTube and a site. Does it matter to study with books? I don't have the experience of learning without a book, but I'm pretty sure there's definitely like good material through YouTube and like internet. I know there's this website called Talk to Me in Korean, and they have really good material, but they also have books that you can buy. I definitely think that like the combination of the different sources is the best way to go. I learned Hangul through YouTube and like things that I would find online, but I also learned through books. So I think if you can combine everything, that's the best way to go. Someone said in Catalan, com vas començar a estudiar coreà, vas a una acadèmia, com vas trobar on estudiar-lo, i creus que fer-ho amb el Duolingo, per exemple, serà més o menys igual de resolutiu que una acadèmia? I'm gonna answer in English. I already said how I started studying it. I go to an academy. I've went to the same academy since the start, so it's always been the same one. Not gonna share their name because they're not paying me, I'm paying them, and I'm paying a lot, so not gonna say who they are. How did you find somewhere to study Korean? I just basically searched like Korean Language Academy, Barcelona, and then I found a few. Language apps are good, but till a certain point. Like, I don't think I could get where I am now through a language app. The point where I'm now, it definitely needs like a teacher, someone to tell you this is good, this is not good, someone that you can ask things to, because there's many things that you really need a good explanation and that are complicated. As you go on, it gets more complicated, obviously. My throat is hurting me so much. I went to a concert a few days ago, and how to start studying Korean? Where was your starting point? This is a really general question. I just think you should start because you want to. Obviously, I speak Spanish and Catalan because I was born here and this is my language. But I speak English and Korean because I love those languages and I loved learning them. I started speaking English and like being fluent with English because I enjoyed watching English YouTubers and American YouTubers back in the day. So that's how I basically got to improve my English. And I started learning Korean because I enjoyed EXO and like K-pop, and I wanted to understand what they were saying. And once I started learning it, I realized that I loved the language and I loved learning it. So you definitely have to love the language and the experience, and then once you have that and like the motivation to do it, I feel like you can naturally set a schedule to like study. For me, it's really easy because I have a class and therefore I have to go to class and that's my schedule. But I also recommend to like have a few hours certain days of the week to like study it. Also, I think having really big objectives and like ambitious objectives at first will not help you out. Like if you say like I want to have like a, you know how in Korean there's like the topic exam, which is like the official examination thingy. So if you say I want to have a level 6 in a year, it's like that's not really realistic. So having realistic objectives is also a way to start. Was it harder for you to learn Korean than another language? Yes. Spanish and Catalan, I don't really count them in because I learned them as a baby, so they're not really difficult for me. And English, I think it's kind of similar because we start, like in Barcelona, we start speaking English when we're like 3, and then I got kind of fluent and like I was able to put a little accent here and there when I was like 12, so it's kind of a natural process. However, with Korean, I was older, like I was 16, so it got a little harder. Also, with Spanish, you have like subject, verb, and then complements. And even with English, it's like I eat, ta-ta-ta, I go to, ta-ta-ta. Like it's subject, verb, like the structures are similar. Also, the alphabet is the same. But with Korean, it's like a totally different thing. You have a new alphabet, you have a ton of new words, you have different pronunciation. Like in English, when you say a sentence, you kind of stay at the end, like you go like this, but then in Korean the pronunciation is really different, so it's definitely harder. I also did a few years of French, but again, French is really similar to Catalan. So how long did it take you to read, speak, understand at least basic Korean? Good question. I don't know if I could tell you like the exact time. Let's take into account that I've never learned Korean outside Barcelona. I cannot practice much, so my learning process is really slow. What I did in 7 years, I could have done it in like 3 in Korea, practicing with people and like speaking it. Because the only way I can practice Korean is speaking by myself, which I do, but I feel it took me like 4 to 5 years to understand pretty much what I was being said, and then it took me like 7 years, 6 years to like be able to answer back and like talk. I'm at the point where if I want to say something really difficult, I'm gonna take some time, but I can like maintain a conversation with someone if, you know, we're not talking about like environment or economics, you know what I mean? But I can have a conversation perfectly, and my teacher speaks to us in Korean about whatever, and we understand, and I can watch stuff and I pretty much understand everything. So that took me 7 good years. But again, it's different for everyone, and it depends on where you live, if you can practice or not. Another question says, do you still struggle to understand Korean at all, or do you catch on pretty easily? As I said just now, I understand Korean perfectly. I think not perfectly, I just understand what I'm being said because I can make up the context. Meaning, in English, I understand pretty much every word. If there is a word that I don't understand, maybe it's like a word out of a 2-hour conversation. With Korean, there are many words that I still don't know, or there are many verbs that I still don't know, there are many grammar structures that I still don't know, but I'm at the point where I understand through the context and through the things I can understand the whole meaning of the sentence, or like what they're talking about. And also it depends on what I'm watching. I understand when my Korean teacher speaks to me about whatever she wants to tell me. I text some Korean friends that I have. I don't have many, but I know some people here and there because I worked at a Korean hotel before and I met some people there. Anyways, I text them through like Katok, and I can do that perfectly. Also, and this is a good way to explain it, I watch Going 17, right? The TV show like of 17. There are 13 people there talking to each other. I do not understand that. Like, they are so fast, they are so quick to speak, they use so many like inner jokes, like expressions, that I can understand maybe like half of it. However, when I watch a V Live, I watched Myungho's V Live like a few days ago. He was like by himself just speaking, and I understood literally the whole thing. Like, I didn't even realize I had not turned the subtitles on. That's because it was like just a person. He's also a foreigner, so he uses like pretty normal, not really complicated expressions. And so I understood that 100%. So it really depends on the situation. I cannot say for sure, but I think if I went to live there now, I would be able to catch up pretty quickly. Because somehow I have all the knowledge here, but sometimes it's really difficult to take it out and like, you know, use it, you know? So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question. Someone says, hi, love all your videos. How did you work on your pronunciation? Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for loving all my videos. And how did I work on my pronunciation? Through listening. The same happened to me with English. Like, I was able to get my English pronunciation through literally YouTube. Like, I literally just watched many YouTubers speak English, and somehow I got like the hang of it. And with Korean, something really weird happened, and this is the reason why I think listening is the most important thing. I started studying EXO when I was 15, so that was 2015, right? So for a year, I only listened to interviews. I only listened to them speaking Korean. And so when I started learning it, and that was me with a friend, and so both of us started at the same time learning it. So when we first went to class, like 2016, we started learning Hangul and whatnot, and I realized that my pronunciation, obviously it was shit if we compare my pronunciation now, but at the time I compared myself and my friend to other people in the class that never listened to like an interview or like never listened to Korean, and our accent was way better. I don't want to sound cocky though, but it was way better than the others. And I think that was because I had been listening to the pronunciation of words and the intonation, which I think is really important as well, like how you say the sentence. For example, if you say like 어제는 제 생일이어서 오늘은 22살이에요. Let me just try to say that sentence in the different language that I know. Com ahir va ser el meu aniversari, avui tinc 22 anys. Como ayer fue mi cumpleaños, hoy tengo 22 años. Yesterday was my birthday, so today I'm 22 years old. 어제는 제 생일이어서 오늘은 22살이에요. So as you can see, the pronunciation is way different, and I think because I had heard it a lot and I had been like just non-stop listening to Korean, I kind of got the hang of it. So my advice is definitely to listen to a lot of Korean. Doesn't matter if you're not understanding everything or if you're reading subtitles. Like, you might think that it doesn't work, but it does work. I've been learning for a while now. How do you pace yourself and not try to learn everything at once? That's actually a good question, and I haven't had to like ask myself that because I've always had a teacher that would, how do you say it, like the teacher knows what you should start with. I've always had someone that would tell me like, we're learning this week. And also because I had like classes, like literally I had to go to class, it kind of made me have like a fixed day where I would study Korean, and that helped me out with, you know, knowing how to pace my learning process. As I said in the beginning, having a schedule is definitely the best way to go. In terms of like, what should I start with first? Books usually have like a reason why they are made like that. They're not gonna start with, I don't know, like passive speech. They're gonna start by teaching you how to introduce yourself, and then by the end of the book, you're gonna learn like passive. Getting yourself a book is definitely a good way to know what to start with first. Okay, someone says, okay, so how did or do you stay focused and motivated? Also, what do you do if you can understand things? That happened with IGA, and my motivation is gone. I get that. I have periods where I am really good at it, and then I have periods where I'm really bad at it. A learning process is not always the same. You're gonna have periods of your life where you're gonna be excited to learn Korean, and then you're gonna have other periods of your life where you're gonna be like, why am I doing this? It gets to a point where you've went too far. So definitely staying focused through the few first years is the most important thing. Because for me, even now, if I have like a period of time where I'm not motivated, I think to myself like, you've been studying this for 6 years. Like, are you thinking about quitting? And then I answer myself like, there's no way, because I've been doing this for too long. Definitely what motivates me is that I can start seeing results now. Knowing how to speak another language, even if it's English now or Korean, amazes me how I can express myself in different languages, and I think it's something really cool and I enjoy doing it. And so that's what motivates me. It started being EXO and like K-pop, like it's not anymore, but it definitely is the fact that being able to speak another language is really, really cool for me, not for everyone, but I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy like speaking to myself in another language. I don't know, I have fun with it. It's like another personality of me. So that's what makes me motivated. And when things get difficult, once you get it, and then you feel really proud of yourself for actually learning it. 이가, I understand what that means, because particles are one of the hardest things in the language and also one of the most important things. Trying to go back a little bit might help you out. Sometimes when I have like many things going on, like many concepts, many words, many structures going on, I try to like stop, write everything down, make like a mind map or like some kind of visual thing to like understand it. If you need to like make a table with 이가는, 을, 에서, 한테, 에게서, those, make like a, I don't know, mind map, table, whatever, and like put it there, you know, read it every day, and eventually your brain is going to remember everything. You definitely need some organization, because sometimes there's many things to learn and it's all over the place. So the best way to understand it is to actually write everything down in an organized way so your brain can catch up with everything. Okay, so I've been doing this for like literally 48 minutes. There's many questions left. I haven't been able to answer everyone. Maybe I should make a part 2. If I did not answer your question, or if you would like to have a part 2, please let me know in the comments or through social media. If from this video you get another question, or you just weren't able to tell me when I asked through social media, also let me know. And if I get to make a part 2 of this video, I'm gonna answer all these questions there. Hopefully it was helpful in some way. Again, it's always different for everyone, and what helped me, I don't know if could help you, but hopefully it will. I don't know if I need to say anything else. Sorry about the lighting change. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Again, let me know if you have any other question, or if you would like me to make a part 2 of this video. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.